Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. Katarina is away tonight. This is CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. Here's what's making news tonight. Snow swept through the area today, and it may not be done just yet. We'll give you the very latest live. And there have been numerous break-ins and thefts at the old Silver City movie theater. Now, the owner is asking for tighter restrictions on the sale of metal that may be stolen. Healthcare Town Hall. Hear more about what locals are saying about Ontario's healthcare system. March break started off with a blast in Windsor, Essex. School buses canceled right off the top in our region today, tacking an extra day onto the week students and teachers already have off. But it's also a big travel day. Our CBC's TJ Deer joins us now live on the streets of Windsor. TJ, what's it been like out there today?
Well, Jason, it really depended on who I asked. The snow started falling overnight and kept falling until around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Environment Canada called for around 15 centimeters of snow, and it looks like we got it. I spent a lot of time talking with people who were traveling around the city today, and a lot of drivers here in downtown told me they were being cautious because of the conditions.
It's definitely slowed everything down, but it's okay. We make do.
It's a bit harder to get places, especially because of the snow. Otherwise, it's okay.
It's really bad and slippery, and some crazy people, they don't know how to drive around there.
One driver who later flew out of town gave his thoughts on the snow.
Well, I thought it would be delayed yesterday, but it's not as bad as I thought. So hopefully, looks like everything's going and coming as planned.
Their caution was warranted. Near Bell River, the OPP closed a part of County Road 42 due to a collision between two vehicles. Police say minor injuries were reported. Back in Windsor, city crews were out making sure the roads were safe, but some residents decided to spend the day doing something else. Tobogganing. Kids spent part of their afternoon going down the hills at Malden Park on sleds.
The roads are slippery out there, so we figure we might as well be slippery as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's nobody on the big hill. I thought everybody would be on the big hill. It's probably just because people don't usually get out of school early.
Eventually, I couldn't resist having a little fun myself.
All right, so me and Jedediah decided to have a race. And his dad's gonna push him down, but I'm gonna hopefully try and beat him down the hill.
Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go!
He made a fast start, which helped him reach the bottom before me, taking the win.
Well, looks like you won, Jedediah. You got down first the night before I did.
I know, but you went further because I got a wipeout.
But it's okay, because you won, because you got down there faster than I did. That's what's important.
Okay.
So you won the race.
Oh my gosh.
So as you can see, everybody spent their day a little bit differently. Now the snow came just as March break got underway, and the kids all told me that if more snow falls during March break, they will be back at Malden Park going down the hills. Jason?
All right, that looked like a lot of fun. Thanks so much, TJ. Breaking news this hour, now that markets have closed, we have just gotten notice the federal government has approved WestJet's takeover of Sunwing. The airline deal was announced in March of last year. It gives WestJet a dominant position in flights to Mexico and the Caribbean. The government did note concerns, though, considering the delays and bottlenecks experienced by travelers last summer and during the holiday season, but ultimately found the final deal was a good outcome for Canadians. Last October, the Competition Bureau raised concerns about the transaction, saying it could reduce competition for Canadian travelers. The merger, though, has conditions. WestJet will need to increase regional flight options. They're also tasked with creating more jobs and keeping offices in Montreal and Toronto. The government also wants WestJet to add more Sunwing vacation packages that leave from cities across Canada. We have more details about all of this on our website. It's a little more than a year after the Silver City movie theater in Windsor closed, and vandals continue to ravage the building. The owner says hardly a week goes by without thieves getting in to steal wire and metal. Now he wants to see tougher rules put in place to discourage vandalism. The CBC's Del Molnar has that story.
What you see here is the demolition area where we opened it up and went in and gutted out 4 movie theaters.
Joe McHale shows the plans for renovations to part of the Silver City Movie Cineplex. He hopes to create a diagnostic imaging facility. But he says vandals have broken in numerous times over the past year to steal copper wire, plumbing, and other metal to sell.
This is an insurable claim. Insurance won't cover this. I've lost over $650,000 in damage to date.
He says he has hired security guards, but the building is too big to secure completely. He wants to see the province enact more rules to make scrap metal dealers keep better track of who they're buying from.
Make them take photographs of each one of them. Pay them with a check that you can trace it back to with an individual and have them identify where it came from, exactly where it came from.
Provinces such as British Columbia and Alberta already have such regulations. A consultant with Electricity Canada, which represents electrical generation companies, supports that and also believes the fines for stealing electrical wire should be higher.
What we want is we want people to say, leave that stuff alone. It's not worth it.
CBC News reached out to an association that represents scrap metal dealers, but we haven't heard back. However, in a submission to the Alberta government, the president stated that scrap metal dealers already maintain records of their transactions, so additional regulations are not necessary. And she says it doesn't help in identifying stolen material anyway. CBC also reached out to Windsor Police, but an interview that was scheduled was canceled. McHale says thefts like these are happening at all his properties and hopes this doesn't affect his renovation plans. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Every time you hear a story with a negative outcome in healthcare settings, it's likely back to inadequate staffing.
That's the local political action lead for the Ontario Nursing Association addressing a town hall on healthcare last night. Dozens showed up to raise their concerns about the state of healthcare. It was led by Windsor West NDP MPP Lisa Gretzky. She wanted to gather concerns about privatization of healthcare services. The vice president of the Ontario Federation of Labour also spoke at the event.
In 2021, for example, the Auditor General found that add-on fees for OHIP-covered cataract surgeries ranged from $450 to $5,000 extra per eye for non-OHIP lenses. Some patients were even told purchasing the specialty lenses was mandatory. This is a violation of the Canada Health Act.
And Canada's health minister is vowing a clawback of federal money over provinces allowing private companies to charge patients for virtual doctor appointments. Jean-Yves Duclos says he's issuing a letter to provincial ministers confirming the practice violates the Canada Health Act.
Whether people pay for those services is something that is part of my responsibility. And as in that context, that's why I'm announcing this morning that there will be increased deductions to transfers made to provinces and territories, and that there will be a new interpretation letter.
Virtual appointments are being offered increasingly by private companies. Fees patients pay can range between $50 and $100. Provincial rules around the practice are not uniform. A set of twins from Ajax were given no chance of survival when they made their entrance 4 months ago, early at 22 weeks. But they fought hard, and this month they celebrated 2 incredible milestones. They turned 1 and picked up a Guinness World Record. Dale Manukduk has that story.
It took 167 days for Kevin Nataraja and Shakina Rajendram to leave Mount Sinai Hospital with their twins.
Kevin and I were there on average for 10 to 12 hours every single day.
The journey to get there was terrifying. At 21 weeks and 5 days, they were told that their twins weren't viable. At different gestational ages, there are different probabilities of survival. The earlier the babies are born, the higher the risk of not making it.
In a matter of split seconds to be told that we had lost the pregnancy, that we would be losing both babies that very same day, it was just devastating.
For 22-weekers, around 30 to 40% of the babies survive to go home from the neonatal intensive care unit. But the goalpost has been changing, according to Mount Sinai's chief pediatrician.
It was 24 weeks. 10 years ago, it moved to 23 weeks, now 22 weeks. As we learned how to how to care for this baby, we are getting better and better in supporting them in such a way that we make them to survive, but at the same time, not cause damage.
After a transfer to Mount Sinai that had its own challenges, just 1 hour after midnight on March 4th, 2022, at 22 weeks gestation, Adia was born and her brother Adriel joined 23 minutes later. Kayla Ibarra can relate. Her twin girls were born at 22 weeks and 2 days in London, Ontario, after she says she was denied medical intervention in Windsor. Her girls are thriving today, and she's since started an advocacy group with the hopes of getting every hospital that is properly equipped to provide resuscitation to 21 and 22 weekers at the request of the parents.
Even though we have these older 22 weekers that are surviving and thriving, some hospitals are still pushing that 24 mark and they're not giving the parents the option to make a say in their children.
After more than 5 months in hospital, Adia and Adriel graduated from the NICU.
There were many moments that were extremely scary for us. We watched the babies almost die in front of our eyes several times.
They still have regular appointments and are doing well, making the entire journey worth it.
They're just, happy, healthy babies who don't actually remember what happened to them in the NICU, which is the way we want it.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
The federal government is launching public consultations for a foreign agent registry. For some Chinese Canadians, it's a move that's long overdue. The CBC's Ashley Burke looks at how effective a registry might be.
Many in the Chinese Canadian community are afraid to speak publicly about Beijing's attempts to interfere. But today, several took a personal risk to tell MPs the threat is real.
China controls everything. They know everything. Even if you change your cell phone, they can quickly find you.
They say China has upped its game, and the threats they face are now more subtle, but cause just as much fear.
You get a phone call in the middle of the day asking, "So, how are your parents doing?" back in Sichuan, China. And then you'll get the message. That means if you don't behave, your parents' phone numbers, address, or even their physical well-being is under threat.
This Uyghur activist says just 2 months ago, he experienced a much more overt threat.
I received a phone call again from Chinese state police, from Urumqi, by taking hostage of my uncle.
The government is now asking people to weigh in on its plans to launch a foreign agent registry in Canada. It's something the community has long called for and criticized the government for failing to act sooner, like some allies have.
It is not a panacea. It will not stop every potential effort by a hostile state actor to interfere.
As long as the government has been seen as actively trying to protect the integrity of its election as well as its community, then it would send a strong message back to hostile countries.
But researchers warn of its limitations.
How effective it will be? It's because a lot of these operations are covert or clandestine by nature, right? And so even if you were to put agents and register everyone, my sense is they will find alternate means to evade.
Some are now calling for a dedicated hotline so people can report if they've been harassed and get advice on any concerns for their safety. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News Live at 6. There's more snow expected over the next few days. We'll tell you how much and when to expect it coming up after the break. And Colette Kennedy was one of the folks who got to sneak off early for March break, so it will be me doing a shortened version of your weather tonight. Let's take a look outside. Again, this is what it was like this afternoon. Snow, some of it wet and slushy. It's one of those days when you're wondering if you need a parka or maybe an umbrella. Now, before we dive into the forecast, let's look at the records. The most snow we've ever had on the ground this late in the year, that's about 10 inches or 25 centimeters, according to Environment Canada, and that was back in 1960. Now, from the past to the future, the 5-day looks a little repetitive here. Flurries tomorrow with a bit of wind, going to feel like -8 in the morning. And the rest of the forecast looks like a copy and paste of the same. A bit of snow and cloud on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, hovering around the freezing mark. So we could see some snow become rain at those moments. So the snow we've got around might be sticking around now. Wednesday looks like the start of a warmer transition, 3 degrees and sunny there. And if TJ's story about racing down the hill perked up your need for speed, this next story is certainly for you. In just a few months, colleges from across the world will hit the Michigan International Speedway for a Formula One style race. But for this race, the crews have to design and build the cars themselves. A few teams from Canada will make the trek across the border, including a team from Lakehead University. Here's a CBC's Matt Frappietro.
And you are? I'm the assistant team captain of Thunderwolf Racing. This is our chassis for TWR 15, the 2023 Thunderwolf Racing race car.
Okay, so what goes into building something like this?
It's a huge process. So we start around August. We form the team. We recruit 20 mechanical engineering students in their 4th year. And this project is their graduating degree project.
Okay, and in the end, that's kind of what we're...
And that's our final product.
The final process. This is all kind of leading up to a big race in Michigan in May.
Yeah. So May 17th to 20, where we go down to Brooklyn, Michigan, for the race at the Michigan International Speedway.
These are universities from all over North America, I assume.
All over the world.
All over the world in Michigan in this race. Do you have kind of an eye on what students at other universities are doing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we went to. In September, we went to the Tesla factory in Fremont, California for an event. They sent us there for 2 days just to teach us about building EVs because that is where the competition is moving. So we got to talk from teams from all over the world there and see what they were doing, and yeah.
Now, are you on track to be one of the drivers?
No.
Well, I don't know who is going to be the driver of this car.
He's the driver.
You are Oliver, and you're the only one of this group that has actually been a part of a race before.
Yeah, it was awesome. There was 7 of us in total, plus our professor and my old man.
Wow.
And yeah, it was awesome. We were there with the team, and I mean, there was 7 of us, but there was people from all over. We met people from Germany, Venezuela, Mexico, all over the U.S.
Just wrapped in carbon fiber.
This car is basically an evolution of last year. So we used a lot of what they did last year, but we changed quite a lot.
Now this car is called the Moose. Was last year's car also called the Moose?
I think it was the Battle Tank.
Well, that's a lot cooler. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. I'm more of a fan of the Moose than the Battle Tank.
Now, why is this car the Moose?
There's 2 reasons for that. One, this will be one of the heavier cars of competition. But we have a big frame, a big engine, so it's down to about 600 pounds. So it's down to the fact that it's a heavy car. And also, it's going to go to the Engineering Student Society. They give us a $5,000 sponsorship.
Yeah.
So it's a way to say thank you to the Engineering Student Society. Their logo is a moose.
Oh, okay. Now I heard you guys joking about putting a full rack of antlers on the back. Is that something we might see?
We were thinking about painting on like antlers on the end plates on the rear wing. I think that'd be pretty cool.
For many of us, like this is our last school challenge, our last school trip, our last team event as students before we join the workforce. So like going to the competition and like fighting the good fight against teams like University of Munich, who's sponsored by Audi. We get to fight those guys at competition.
Well, that's great, man. You're going to be, you're an underdog.
Oh, yeah.
But battle tank be damned. This is the year of the moose.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Year of the moose.
The year of the moose, baby.
It's going to be sweet.
It's such an amazing opportunity for engineering students. It's kind of the first time you get to take what you're learning in the classroom and actually build something. It's an awesome experience for students to gain real-world experience before they start working.
That's great, man. Well, congratulations. It looks like it's coming along pretty well. Yeah, in April, when you are racing around here, can we come back and check it out?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News, the best university basketball player in Canada can be found right here in Windsor. We'll tell you about him right after the break. BMO has signed a deal to buy the Air Miles loyalty rewards program in Canada after its U.S. parent company filed for bankruptcy. The president of Air Miles calls the deal a significant step forward and says it won't have any impact on collectors' points balances or on the ability to collect and redeem miles. Air Miles is one of the largest loyalty programs in the country with nearly 10 million active accounts. That represents about 2/3 of Canadian households. But in recent years, it has lost a string of big retailers. Last summer, Sobeys and Staples scrapped the program a year after the LCBO and Lowe's Canada pulled out. We've got some pretty big events happening this weekend. One of them I need parents to sit down for, certainly. I regret to inform you that we're entering daylight savings time and we're losing an hour, and that starts on Sunday. I know what this means for me having kids at home, but for a more balanced take on this issue, we sent Mike Evans out to ask people in Windsor what they think.
Are you a fan of daylight savings time?
No, I'm not. I just want to know the time. I don't want to have to worry about losing an hour or gaining an hour.
Daylight savings. I'm not really a big fan. Waking up school, it's messing with my system. And yeah, it's just tough getting up. It's messing with everything.
I like it when it's light in the day longer because I don't like the darkness.
How do you feel about springing ahead?
I like springing ahead. It's very important for the construction business because in the morning, especially when we spring back, the extra hour makes a big difference for the commute. Construction sites cannot start until you have sunlight, so for safety reasons. So if it didn't move back or move forward, then construction companies would have to move their schedules an hour forward or an hour backwards, and that totally messes up all the traffic.
And top honors for one of Windsor's own this week. Thomas Kennedy has been named the best university basketball player in this country. He said it was an incredible feeling to be recognized, but was quick to thank the people around him.
Coach Chang's been with me now for 4 years at the university, and he's supported me in doing, even leaving the team in the summers to go play with other teams. He supports that. And then when I am wearing the Windsor jersey, he lets me play the way I play, lead the way I lead. And he believes in me, not just as a player, but in a person. And that support is just unmatched. And then, if people know me, they know my dad. And he's probably at the top of that list of support, traveling all over Ontario for the past 5 years. He doesn't miss a game. And, I play basketball because of him and for him in a sense. And, definitely, I know he's enjoying the moment as much as I am, and it's recognition of not only hours I've put in, but hours he's put in with me.
Kennedy has pieced together an impressive resume playing for his hometown university. He's a two-time provincial All-Star and this year led the nation in rebounding. He also holds the all-time records for points and blocks. A big congratulations to Kennedy for his accomplishment. Well, there are a lot of ways to make your office perfectly comfortable, but if you miss having the company of a pet, this may just be the answer for you. Across Canada, a novel idea that helps people and pets is catching on. Offices are temporarily adopting cats. The cat stays until it finds a permanent home, but in the meantime, they share your treats and help keep you warm. And it may even inspire your best work yet. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, though, for news anytime, head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media as well. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a great night and a great weekend.